Hello and welcome to the Yorkshire Voice News at 4 o'clock. I'm Roxy Allen. Coming up on today's show, we will find out what a University of Bradford geoarchaeologist will be looking for under the sea this Easter. But first, Home Secretary Suella Braverman has spoken in the House of Commons following the death of a 21-year-old police student who took his own life after a work placement with West Yorkshire Police. Anugra Abraham's family, who are from Bury, have claimed he was bullied and harassed. He went missing on March the 3rd and was found dead the next day. They claim his death was due to the way he was being treated during his first placement at Halifax Police Station. The force has referred the case to the Independent Police Office of Police Complaints. Anugra, known as Anu, was on placement as part of his 3-year apprenticeship degree at Leeds Trinity University. Suella Braverman told the Commons that everyone who serves in the police deserves support and credit for their bravery and offered her condolences to the family.
Anu Abraham was a 21-year-old student police officer on a placement in West Yorkshire who took his own life following bullying allegations and a lack of support. I met Anu's family on Friday and they wanted to make clear that they feel the harm and lack of support Anu experienced at the hands of the police killed him. The family now want Anu's death and the miscommunication that followed to be reviewed by the IOPC. Will the Home Secretary or the Policing Minister meet with myself and Anu's family to hear their concerns and to discuss what can be done to prevent any further tragedies?
Well, now I
Home Secretary.
place on record my deepest condolences and sympathies to the family of Anu Abraham. I cannot imagine what they must be going through right now, and I thank the Honourable Gentleman for his advocacy for them at this difficult time. Every man and woman who puts themselves forward to serve in our police force deserves support and the credit for their bravery and the high standards that they uphold. I'm very happy to arrange some kind of appropriate meeting between an official or a minister at the Home Office and the Honourable Gentleman, should that be the right thing to do.
Well, one group in Keighley, which is trying to provide support to anyone struggling with their mental health, has recently expanded its service. Ryan Anderton founded the group and he's here now to tell us a bit more. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we've just heard about the tragic story of Anu. We don't know the full circumstances surrounding his death yet, but how important would you say it is for people to speak up about any issues they may be having in the workplace or in their personal life?
I think it's really important that everybody speaks about their mental health and their life challenges. Lots of people are struggling, and especially in the workplace, where we spend so much of our time, we need to be able to speak to our line managers, HR, and then for them to provide the support or at least signpost to organisations like ourselves.
And what do you think prevents people from talking out about their issues?
Mostly stigma, I think, especially with men and various different cultures. It is deemed weak to be struggling, to not be able to manage our own lives, our own mental health. And I think that that's the real big thing that stops people from talking and asking for support and help. And that's something that we really need to stop.
And I'd say statistics show that suicide is more prevalent in men than women. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. I work within a GP practice and we run men's and women's groups. Men are 70% more likely to take their own lives from suicide than women. And it's happening in towns and cities across the country almost every day now.
And what services do you offer for people at It's Worth Talking About?
So we run peer support groups. So we have groups for men, women, open gender, and we now have a youth group offering in Haworth and hopefully soon in Bingley. We also work very closely with lots of other organisations. As I say, I also work at a GP practice. So there is facilities and availability to actually have one-to-one support for your mental health over a sustained period of time, as well as having the opportunity just to access groups at a whim when you need it.
Very quickly, how can people watching access support after the stories we have heard today?
there's support everywhere. I know that people say that there's no support available, but through your GP, through social prescribers, there's Mind, there's Andy's Man Club, there's Samaritans, there's the Shout text service. Have a Google, see what's in your town, speak to friends and family, see what they know about that's available, and then go and access it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ryan. If anyone has been affected by anything we have talked about today, we do have support services links on our Facebook page. In other news, a woman has been jailed for 12 years after pleading guilty to multiple domestic abuse offences. 54-year-old Zara Jade appeared in Bradford Crown Court after pleading guilty to 6 offences. It was heard that she stabbed her partner, falsely imprisoned her, and demanded the PIN number to her bank card. A 17-year-old boy has gone missing in Bradford. Ty Fulford was last seen yesterday wearing a cream jumper and cargo pants, with a skateboard and a black backpack. Anyone with information is being asked to contact police. Now, the Easter holidays are traditionally a fun time of year for families, but this year they might prove challenging. The cost of living crisis is forcing people to make tough choices about how they spend the holidays, as we found out today.
Yes, I have 2 children and I'm a teacher myself, so I have the holidays off. So obviously I've got the 2 kids at home, which I need to find things to do to entertain them, and that costs a lot of money. Like, we've just been to the soft play here, you know, you're talking about a tenner at a time, and it just means that with the cost of living, I'm not able to afford to take them as many places as I'd like to take them.
I've got 2 boys at home. It does definitely make a difference when we're thinking about where we're going to be going, if we're going on holiday or not this year, maybe just little treats out, birthday parties, etc. So yeah, it definitely does make a difference.
We used to go abroad once a year, and we don't do that now. We go to caravan instead, just because it's cheaper to do that, but you don't get the same experience. The weather's not right, is it? And so no, it's all changed because of all the prices going up on everything.
A first-of-its-kind expedition is due to get underway in Croatia by Dr. Simon Fitch. The geoarchaeologist from the University of Bradford joined our reporter Mia Hagar to explain what this mission entails.
So this is the 5-day survey is only a pilot survey. So we are going to be taking some geophysical instruments and for the first time really testing them out in Croatian waters. They're a little bit warmer. The geology is a bit different. And so we're trying to basically see the submerged landscape that's under the water that was left behind at the end of the last ice age and try and map that landscape. And so in future surveys, we'll be able to go back, locate the really features of interest to archaeology and hopefully go back and recover some archaeological information in the next years.
Are there any kind of specific artifacts you're looking for? Because I know it's from like a specific period that you're expecting to find, but is there anything in particular you're hoping to find?
So we're specifically looking for the late Paleolithic, so it's the end of the glacial ice age. It's when people start to becoming and have the societies that begin to become us. So we're looking at people who are hunter-gatherers, but we're looking for materials such as stone tools, which maybe they used to hunt animals and game, where things potentially would, because again, one of the things underwater sites preserve well are the organic things. So it could be fabrics, it could be wooden structures, but we're also looking for the environmental evidence, things like peat, things like clays from the sea level, which will tell us about sea level rise and the history of how the landscape responded to the end of the ice age. And that's really important to telling us how humans responded in the past to climate change, and potentially will tell us, you know, how we're going to have to face a similar sort of climate change in the future, which is really, really interesting. We will be working with a new 3D sub-bottom echo sounder from Innomar, which allows us to look. It basically sends down a big sound wave pulse through the water and it penetrates into the seabed and goes below the seabed. And the echoes that come back from that tell us about the information in the seabed down to basically a 10 centimetre level precision, which is really, really high levels of precision for that kind of device. So not only do we get a map of the seabed, but we get a map of everything below the seabed. And that's really, in Croatia, doing it at that high resolution for archaeology is a really cutting edge thing. It's quite a technologically involved piece of kit, but it really is revolutionising how we do archaeology on the seabed.
Now, if you're one of the millions of fans of the TV series Gentleman Jack, you might want to get yourself over to Halifax. The Bankfield Museum is hosting a world-exclusive exhibition of costumes used in the programme. Our reporter Demea Williams had an early viewing.
We've got the costumes here from Gentleman Jack, and we really wanted to give an opportunity for people who've maybe travelled from overseas, who haven't had a chance to look at the costume, to see them and see them in more in depth.
Why do you think it's really important to sort of honour her during this week in the lead up with her birthday and the event starting from yesterday?
I think it's really important to honour her because she's such a unique character, and I think she talks to a lot of people today. She was a mountaineer, she was a businesswoman, she was a lesbian, she was so many things to so many people, and she wrote this incredible diary that has so much detail in it about this area and about the time, that it's wonderful that people now get to read those words and read a first-hand account of Halifax.
What costume in specific on display is your favourite and why?
Oh, I got asked this in my first session. I think my favourite is the pink dress just at the bottom. That's the first costume that I ever mounted here for Gentleman Jack. It was worn in Series 1 by Sophie Rundell, and it's a really beautiful piece. It's very reminiscent of the 1830s. It's got the huge sleeves, really beautiful material, and it feels very special to me because that's the first one that I ever put onto a mannequin.
Now, safety for people moving about in our cities is a growing concern, whether it's during the day or on a night out. The people behind the WalkSafe app have joined forces with the City of Bradford to make it the world's first safe city, MJ Binns reports.
So obviously there's this new app coming out called WalkSafe. Can you tell me a little bit about it, please?
WalkSafe is kind of what it says on the tin. It's to enable people to feel safe while they're walking to and from a venue, or to and from to meet friends, or even leaving work and going home. So just recently, very recently actually, the WalkSafe launched their WalkSafe Plus for businesses. So as an example, let's just say Night Train as an example, the late night venue in Bradford City Centre. The manager there can actually have all the staff on that are finishing at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And as they get home, it'll register through the GPS that they've got home, and it'll go green, the home safe. If the list on the app of the staff that have been working, if one doesn't get home by the time that they've set in the phone to say they'll be home by, they'll get a ping.
Bradford is the first WalkSafe city. Say Leeds decided that they wanted to do it as well, or York, or anywhere around here really that has got quite a large nightlife. What would you say to them would be the best way to get started on producing this? Because obviously it is a massive thing and it is going to help loads of people. So how would city centres be able to get started doing it?
Because we're not the developer, we don't own WalkSafe, but we're working with them to develop it for Bradford City Centre. We would put them in touch with the guys from WalkSafe, and they can have their own communications. But in an ideal world, I'd love, thinking about my daughter who's going to university next year, I'd love to think that when she goes to, say, Newcastle, as an example, she hasn't decided just yet, she's got the WalkSafe app on, and I know that she's got her friends on there when she's going out for a night out. I'd like to see WalkSafe everywhere across the country, because I've seen just how good it is. So we're enabling those conversations, but stepping away because it's not our app. We're just using the app, and they're developing it with Bradford as a pilot city.
And now to the weather. Mia, what's it doing out there?
As you can see, it is rather wet today, but tonight it will gradually become drier with some chances of rain in the west. There will be minimum temperatures of 5 degrees and some mist and frost. Tomorrow will be a lot sunnier, but don't forget to bring your umbrellas as there's chance of rain. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Mia. And thank you for joining us today. We're back tomorrow at 4, so make sure to come again and join us. That's all from us for now. Goodbye.